this is day 2 of working on these armoires. This room was a hodgepodge mess and I just let it kind of go that way because we weren't really using it. I just kept telling kids like, oh, just go put it down in the schoolroom. Doesn't matter where, just put it down. I knew I needed to tackle it soon, and so I just kind of made it become a dump zone. Bad idea because it was overwhelming to go through everything, but I did clear out a lot of it. I am done with one of the armoires.
So here's the toss away pile. I was completely surprised to find that I still had the box for Kiwi Crate with the magazine. I mean, there were so many things in there that I really shouldn't have kept or held on to, but this one I really thought that we would use to rebuild it or just use it somehow, but I have a tendency to hold on to way more than we actually end up using.
Okay, let me show you the other one, but obviously I am not done. I still have 3 more shelves to install in this one, but I want to give you a glimpse of what I'm working with. So I started with school supplies are at the top, followed by games that we don't use as often, but we still use them, more school supplies, manipulatives, which notice I kind of like tried to categorize them by like subject / different sections of like math, for example. And then I definitely need to install more shelves here. I have manipulatives that are too tall, so I'm trying to figure that out too. Then all our like Nerf section is here. Some more kind of craft, kind of school related. I didn't even know what to categorize that as. But here, I'll show you, it's a mess. But these are like the Velcro stuff, some of the dice, which I could probably fit these with like the math thingy, whichever one is learning numbers and adding. I think it's this first one. And then some little bottles if I need them for like crafting, some clothespins, some of the popsicle sticks. So just a lot of little random things in here. I'll have to figure out if like this I know can go with the manipulatives, and then I'll have to figure out the rest in here, where they can go or if they're just gonna stay here. Okay, and then I wanna install 1 or 2 shelves here. I'm not exactly positive, but I want the kids to have some space here. Then at the bottom I have some material stuff and sewing stuff with some like storage in the back.
And as I mentioned before, our posters are usually tucked away in these armoires. That way when we close them, we don't have to see them, but the kids still can reference back to them. These are the 2 desks I ended up selling. I was so happy to gain the space back, and so all their stuff that were inside of their desks, I installed 1 shelf for each of the older ones, which I absolutely love because I feel like it's less of a battle now for them to keep it together and organized, and it keeps it tucked away. So it's just so much more less cluttered. Ideally, I'd love for each child to have their own desk that's actually bigger, where they can store all their things, but that's just not realistic in this room. With this project being so big, I think the most important thing that I can do to actually maximize the space and do a good job of decluttering is making sure that I go through this definitely more than once, possibly even more than twice. That way I can actually see, have we used things in the last 6 months? What can I get rid of that we actually didn't use? I think there's just too many things to make decisions on. I mean, this is hundreds and hundreds of items, so I think it'll definitely take a few sweeps to get to where I'd like to be. I also want to add that one of the most important things you can do when you're actually facing a huge project like this is actually have a friend to come on over and help you go through it. I noticed doing it alone is just much more difficult. It reminds me of all the families that I actually worked alongside to declutter and organize. It's so much easier when you're able to bounce ideas off one another and just kind of ask them different questions to help them get rid of things, versus when you're doing it on your own, you pretty much can convince yourself that you've used it often enough and frequent enough to hold on to it. So definitely get a friend or your spouse to help you in the process. So we decluttered a few things, but there's just still so much left, and I think what it comes down to is just deciding to cut things in half. So if we have like 50 of the same thing, we can cut that in half. It's just hard to do, especially even with like the Nerf bullets. We have tons of them, but we use them all the time, and at times, you know, they get lost. You find them a lot later, so it comes in handy to just have such a huge bulk order.
So while I'm in this room, I might as well take you along and show you my desk. I have a lot of kids stuff in here too, and I'm hoping to basically eliminate all of this since it's not really my stuff. It's things like for school, obviously, except for the envelopes and the mouse for the computer. Everything else is like glue that should probably go in the glue section, and then even like these reward cards, punch cards that we use, I should probably find a place for them in the armoire, and the beads with the beads, now that I actually have a spot for all of them. And then I also want to figure out if I can find the space to move like all the colored paper from here And I don't know, there's just a bunch of other things. I can't even tell you what it is. Some construction paper and some preschool curriculum up in the front.
But I think I treated it more as a teacher desk, so this is what my desk would look like as a high school teacher. All my things related to the students would be in my desk, but I want to switch gears and make it be more of like a business desk where I can keep everything related to business here and then everything related to school in the armoires. And the kids will then be able to find everything related to school in the armoires.
If somebody needs colored paper, they don't need to come in here anymore. They can go in the armoires. And then, of course, I think I've already showed you this when I did a walkthrough of the schoolroom. This is my desk. I'd say it's pretty organized. I was looking to see if it got disorganized. In the meantime, it actually didn't, and that makes sense because I'm pretty much the only one that does use it. And of course, my husband sometimes when he pays bills and stuff, but otherwise it stays pretty organized. I should probably move these with the dominoes. I use this for school, but I think I want to get into the habit of just always going to the armoires to grab different manipulatives. So this should probably move from here.
I liked having these on hand because I use them so often that it's easier to just go into my own desk and get them out.
Ooh, possibly even the stamps maybe need to go.
You know, you need to declutter when you actually still have your stamp from the old house, even though we actually lived there 4 years ago and we don't live there anymore.
I want to add, here's why I never get rid of things. I saw the stamps and I saw this and I thought, oh, how cool would it be to take one of these stamps and switch out our address at the bottom for one of these stamps. So now I have a craft waiting for me to be done. So I'm going to put those together. I feel like the kids would have so much fun using this just because the bottom flips. So that's just super fun to stamp down and actually be able to use it for play. Or at least if I was a kid, I know I would love it. I mean, I'm an adult and I absolutely love this thing. So everyone has their own issues. As I'm trying to reconfigure this and get rid of things that are not really mine, I've noticed that I have a tendency to hold on to a lot of things. Here's an example. Guys, this is from when we were engaged. This is our wedding registry. And I felt like the material was just so good. It's like a cardboard material that I was using the back side for different things. I don't even remember what, but I just know I kept these for over 12 years. I used a lot of them, but I apparently still have one pack left. And this is that whole tendency of just holding on to things that are not important. This is ridiculous, but this is basically the level I was at. So time to part with this. I'm also thinking even things like this that are more school supply stuff, like when the kids need note cards. I know I come to my desk, but I feel like I should probably be looking in the armoire where all the school supplies are. So I will definitely take these out. Hopefully I have enough room in the armoire to even move those there. And then I also have these stacks of just different sticky notes. Some come in the mail, some came from different conferences, and there's just a lot in here.
Justifying holding on to all of these notepads because we're a homeschooling family and we need so much scratch paper, but in reality, these are definitely not our go-to. We have tons of other scratch paper that we keep more handy closer to our school table, so I'm going to go ahead and recycle all these as I try not to feel guilty that I'm getting rid of so much paper that and technically we could be using. And I'll actually keep these instead.
I mean, we have so many that I'm just shocked looking at my stacks that even now when they come in the mail, like the ones from St. Jude's, I still hold on to them. And in reality, I should be able to just recycle them and move on because I really don't need it. It's taking up space in my house. And it's just, this is one thing, but this can be applied to so many other things that we hold on to. As ridiculous as it sounds, I feel horrible getting rid of them because, again, they're practical and they're useful, but I feel like I'm going to be in my 60s or 70s and I'm still going to have all these things because in reality, I don't even go to sticky notes, only if I really feel like I need to stick it onto something. Usually I'll grab my notebook, and I have plenty of these notebooks too, and that's usually where I write in. Another great example, we use these in school. They're the little tiny dots so that if your paper breaks in a 3-ring binder, you could add the circle and now the paper isn't broken anymore, if that makes sense. It's basically to keep the paper in a binder.
But since I don't use them, I'm going to go ahead and just keep 2 of these sheets. That way, if the girls need them for their binder, I can actually have them on hand. And I actually know that they exist now.
I guess I should hold on to one of the labels because I'm passing along these big ones. I really have no use for them. But these little ones I could see myself using definitely more. Who knows what else I have in here. Oh, look at that. I have bigger ones too. These I should probably use for our Christmas bins and all the other ones. If you guys watched our decluttering video for kids' clothes, you would have noticed that I used paper. These would have come in so handy for that, but yet I didn't even know that I had them. It's absolutely ridiculous. This would have been so quick to label each bin, but I randomly found random sheets of paper through the house, wrote on the piece of paper, and stuck it in the bin. My goodness.
So I obviously need to regroup a lot of things, so I know I actually have them.
Another one. I don't even know why I have these. Like, they're little stickies that say the day, but I don't even know what to use them for. I have my organizer, and I can't even imagine what I would use these for. So I love the idea, and they're super cute, but I think it's time to get rid of them.
And I'm not even sure how I acquired them.
So I don't use paper clips often, and when I do, I resort to the silver ones. But this was a sweet gift that my husband bought me when I became a teacher years ago. How cute are these? And he knows I love music. Granted, I didn't teach music. They're adorable, but I don't go to them because they don't hold paper as well as the silver ones. So again, another thing that I just need to get rid of. I'm really big into holding containers, but I just think this is very interesting. If you guys know the Lucky brand, like perfume, this is from when I was in high school. This container I got, somebody gifted me the actual perfume, and I've held onto this container for years and years and years. It has come in so handy. I don't currently need it, so I'm planning on getting rid of it, but I'm just giving you ideas that I tend to use, as I said in previous videos, lots and lots of bins that I get from different gifts or just tons and tons of like boxes that are sturdy. Notice this is from like espresso mugs that we ordered.
It makes organizing super affordable, and you could cover them with contact paper.
Unless I find bins like this, like I did at Target, that are affordable, they're flexible, I really, really like them, then I would replace these. Otherwise, I pretty much just do boxes. And so I just want to remind you guys, start somewhere. It's okay to start with boxes. I have this little thing that the kids used to use. It was part of like this pull-out thing that held pencils. I just wanted the actual like bin part. I would like one that's a bit deeper than that, but it works. So it's better to start with something, even if it's like mismatched, like how I have the clear and then the gray. I have this mesh one here. I have another box. I mean, it's a little bit of everything, but at least when I open it, I know where everything is. I know where I need to go if I need to find paper clips or timers or permanent markers, the main markers that I write with, or pens or highlighters. I mean, everything is just here. I know where it is, so it's easy to find. Even the kids know where to find things when I send them to my desk to grab something.
I was able to pass along a lot of the office supplies, so I was really glad that somebody could get use out of them. I even sold some older curriculum that we weren't using.
And now here is what I'm going to be passing along that I don't actually need. This was the microphone that I was going to use when we thought about doing a podcast. Then I have the hat that I'm going to part with. One of these I might find use for it. Some books that I ended up not needing. Definitely don't need this anymore. Here are some more stuff. This doesn't even work, but it is nice to use. There's cards that come out and you put the letters inside, but we have so many things so similar to it that I really don't need it. Then I found these random things in there.
Also 2 games that we don't use often, and a pile of maybe things that I'm not sure if I'm going to hold on to them or pass them along.
Oh, and I also have this whole pile. Right here are some posters, some construction papers, some new erasers, and I was thinking of even passing this along because I don't think I need it. We'll see at the end.
So even though I'll have to do a second sweep of each area, I wanted to show you the difference from before we did the decluttering to now. We definitely could find everything. It's so much easier to grab things out. I know where the manipulatives are when we enter a chapter. I mean, seriously, it is a drastic difference. We were even able to fit the girls' desks in here, so all 3 of them now store their things in here. So that has helped a lot because it's a lot more space in the actual schoolroom. And even though it still looks really full in both armoires, I think what really helps to unify things is using similar bins, and I could totally do that once we are ready to actually purchase bins that fit perfectly in the armoires. That's always my last step in organizing and decluttering, but oftentimes we get caught up in trying to find matching bins that fit perfectly, and we waste so much time doing the research that we end up not decluttering and not organizing. And oftentimes bins can be so expensive, so it's always important, if you want to save money, to actually wait until you find a good deal. And there you have it, guys. We are at 1,900 items. I am so excited to be so far along in this decluttering process. Thanks so much for your support, and please hit the subscribe and give us a thumbs up. See you all next week.